She said corruption, right?
Yep.
Nigeria, 200 million population, right?
Right.
Mm.
But it's expected to rise quicker than the US, overtaking the US. The population, in total population.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. But it's bustling.
Why poverty percentage is 27 to 60, more than 60%?
I know, because it's not inclusive growth. It's not an inclusive growth. It is growing rapidly, but there is a small number of people who are getting a lot richer.
Why poverty people increased?
They are not redistributing. They made the same choice as they made in China. Basically, they want the rich people to lift the rest out of poverty. By the way, speaking of China, I heard on the BBC that there was a hotel somewhere in Africa, an African nation. I forgot where it was, but a luxury 5-star hotel had been attacked by dissatisfied people. Basically, because they are so unhappy that about the investment now being done by the Chinese in their country, which is basically not taking any consideration into the well-being of the people, just making money. So now people are starting to rise up against these investments and these policies by the Chinese.
I don't understand what do you mean? Chinese investing money for them?
China is investing money, but not with the best interest of the people in mind. Basically, by gaining to gain control over their resources. So people are starting to rise up, and they attacked the hotel and a few people were killed.
Few people are killed? Why?
Because they attacked the hotel with weapons. Happened on Wednesday or something.
What do you mean?
It happened on Wednesday.
Why?
Local Africans were attacking a 4-star hotel, a highly secured hotel.
Why killed?
Because they
robbing?
Why killed? Because basically, it was more or less a terrorist attack. In order to scare the Chinese out of their country.
Oh, terrorist attack. Who killed? Killed whom?
Well, actually, I heard that actually a security guard and 2 of the people who attacked were killed.
So, and the first video is several rich people on the screen, and they get started for the capitalism in Nigeria.
Luxury goods, né? Just like China, a lot of attention in luxury goods in initial stages. So in that respect, it looks a little bit like they're going through the same cycle as China did, like a middle class coming into existence. But at the moment, it's just a happy few. Those people want to flash their money and show their wealth.
At the end, she said the bribes for government.
It's not really addressing the issue about bribes.
Corruption, she said.
Well, he said that basically our politicians are corrupt. They are trying to please the rich and drive out the poor out of Lagos. So they are not doing anything to support their own citizens. It is true that actually, even though wealth in Nigeria is growing, the number of poor people, the percentage of poor people is also growing.
Growing.
So this is actually problematic. While I traveled in Africa, what I noticed is that areas where everybody is poor are usually not such a security risk. But if you go to areas like cities where there is a big poverty gap, like wealth gap between the poorest of the poor and the richest, you see a lot of security issues.
What is this video's message? Is rich is rich, poor is poor.
Right.
Anything else?
Well, basically, Nigeria is growing up, but they still have a lot of problems.
Yes, I know that. But what is their message? How to solve their issues?
Well, I don't think they are giving a message, or they need to solve their problems. Basically, they're just describing, okay, this is what's happening, and what's happening is that there are a bunch of very rich people in Nigeria. Nigeria is trying to develop itself, especially Lagos is trying to develop itself into the financial center, developing living grounds for the happy few. At the same time, it's ignoring the fact that there are lots of people, and even more people, who do not have money at the moment. They're trying to raise a middle class, but it's still a very far cry from it.
So Nigeria is one of the largest country in Africa. What they are going to do in future or next 10 years? Actually, the current video shows that inequality gap will increasing, right? And government not so strong to govern this country. And
well, there are a lot of issues, of course,
not
not only in Lagos, but especially outside of Lagos.
Not like China, no industry, no manufacturing industry, right?
No. But that will happen. I see that will really happen. Nigeria will get manufacturing. It's very strategically located in basically it's the largest.
Before I wrote Nigeria, they have some cities textile.
Oh.
Yes, they have. I can't remember the name, but some city, textile city. They are making clothing. Just that's it.
They actually also have an IT industry there.
What?
IT.
Really?
It's actually quite known in Africa. There are two IT hubs, one in Nairobi and one in Lagos. Quite a famous guy from Nigeria. He started a company, a software development company in Nigeria. Became kind of a hit, but he left to Silicon Valley, and apparently he recently gave up on his company and wants to start something new. Very much to the dismay of a lot of people who supported him to.
But it takes time, right?
Yeah. It does take time, and actually they also have an issue that African IT infrastructure and especially internet infrastructure is very slow.
Really, but many African countries they invest a lot for the internet infrastructure.
Right, but it's very slow apparently.
Really.
That's going to be a little bit of a challenge. An
Some
issue.
countries they distribute PC for students, right?
Right.
Uganda.
But actually, Achikochi, they had this $100 PC.
Yes,
project.
exactly. Yes, right. And this is more cheaper, right? Maybe currently at $20-30, right?
I have PCs that only cost $10.
$10, right.
Of course, it doesn't have keyboards for that money.
TV.
But it's really just like the size of a credit card, and you can learn programming on it and everything else.
This is IT is the most capable for Africa.
Right. Right. And actually, the internet infrastructure apparently in India is also very limited. So it doesn't necessarily means that they will have to stay behind.
India is most capable rather than Africa. They have already a lot of big infrastructure there, over there, right?
Right.
Africa is actually nothing.
But for a country like Japan, the possibilities of outsourcing to India are rather limited because we don't speak English.
Oh yeah, but India they're growing language capability like a Pune in India. They just lots of money to give them training for Japanese language. Like Vietnam, the same. Right? They are doing a lot of investment. The profitability is so high if they can use Japanese language. Right? But India is cost is getting increased rather than Bangladesh. But Africa is not yet started.
Well.
But this future, within 1 decade, they have big opportunities, as you said, IT industry there.
Right.
But currently, the mainly focus on agriculture business. Agriculture, right?
Well, because that's all they have really at the moment.
No, agricultural business is like a Vietnam case is Japanese high-tech industry supporting them for more double up their output. Kind of capability they have. Kimoto is considered for import technology from Israel. Like a little bit water, just sustain. And Dutch is your country is a lot of investment, but very large scale investment.
Yep.
But Israel is also they have no water. They try to grow the tomato and everything is 1/20, 1/30 water is capable to grow them up. This Africa is mostly opportunity doing that. No water. So I think most capability.
No water is we're talking about the Sahel then, not about Africa.
But Nigeria is also water is not sufficient. Inland, there's no water. Right? The Nigeria is connecting to sub-Saharan. So Japan will going to invest a lot of money in Africa. 300. How much is it? 30 billion Japanese yen? Japanese yen, I think. 30 billion, not dollar.
$300 million.
$300 million. But I'm not sure how they had the conference in Tokyo last month, but I don't know what kind of the investment they were going to do.
They used to have this conference like almost every year in Yokohama.
Really? I don't know what they're
So
going
they're
to
getting
do.
more serious, and now it's coming from Yokohama into Tokyo.
but I'm not sure what they're going to do for that. But before, I just had a couple, very few videos, Japanese government or Japanese people activity in Africa, not many. And I don't know clearly what they're going to do. And well, actually they are doing something, but Japanese organization institute very poor to prepare video, not well prepared. JICA and JETRO and whatever, very few. Because Japanese people, they don't speak English, so they cannot prepare for advertisement compared with China. China, they are doing a lot.
China's not that good in English either, actually, I find.
Yeah, a lot.
They're not that good.
Huh?
China's not that good in English either.
No. China is, they have special investment.
I think we lost Takai-san just now.
What happened? He has gone?
Maybe his internet was just...
What happened for him? Oh, he's suspended.
Maybe he just got a call or something.
Oh, okay. Suspending. And I think Japanese program. Oh no. China is they are intentionally investing a lot of money for SNS. And CNTV just they have subsidiary of the company, especially for the overseas advertisement. And I use that video, a lot of video in my book, because they match investment for them. Japanese government, they don't do that.
SNS now?
Yeah. Japanese government, they don't do that. They should as a government advertisement, but Chinese is intentionally making a video, and also they try to conceal the propaganda. They just only purely advertise their news or their just country by country. They just.
So what do you think Japan should invest in Africa?
Oh, what the Japan need to invest for Africa? This is not kind of the Japan's most advantage is how to its government, financial planning or strategic planning is most advantage by Japanese government or Japanese company. First one, not IT. IT is
financial planning.
It's no government, not financial, but also government strategic planning. Government strategic planning. This is most of Japan government, Japanese people can contribute to African country. Like whether they have better investment for the highway rail and highway, or like develop complex, complex. Building complex and market or something, and Japan has very good, skill.
So city development,
smart city design. Why is Japanese? They do not have much country interest or interest of the own Japanese own country. Who make investment. Like America, European people, it's always considered for their own interest.
Right.
So they cannot make smart city planning for themselves. So always they try to consider for their own country, like French or German, is consider for their own country interest to consider for smart city. And like railways, also China is try to involve in, but Japanese they are not. But also
they are indeed, like they built a railway from Mombasa to.
This is a big problem.
Right.
They cannot pay back.
Right.
the other Japanese, the other issue is
Is that also going to happen in Indonesia?
Indonesia's highway rail is a good problem, right? But I'm not sure recently what's going on.
No.
But China is more advanced than Japanese. So Japanese is still seeking to how to sell the highway rail. This is stupid. They cannot win. Cost, technology, no, not anymore. And Japanese maybe advantage is agriculture business with IT. And they know the efficient, way of agriculture, rather than China.
What do you think about education?
Oh, this education is, I don't know, Japan is ahead.
I think Japan is very good at education. Japanese education.
What kind of education are you talking about?
I think actually, basically, if you want to connect with the future of Africa, then educating them will give you great opportunities to later on connect with them.
What kind of education? E-learning?
Well, basically, yeah, e-learning or maybe even on-the-ground learning, setting up universities and dispatching people to Africa to actually introduce the Japanese education system.
I saw the European people or American people very heavy advantage.
Yeah, but actually, it doesn't seem like anyone is doing it. I would actually be very interested in considering if I were to invest to set up like private education or some kind of educational institutes of higher learning into Nigeria.
What kind of point is advantage the Japanese they have compared with Westerners?
Well, actually, so I don't know whether they have a competitive advantage. I think that they have very high quality of education, and nobody else is doing it, so why not?
Sure.
I don't think that there are English universities. If people go and study at English universities, they go to England or they go to the United States.
Oh, Japanese not so much students.
You have to be super rich if you want to be able to go to...
Japanese overseas students, not so many people coming to Japan. Asian Pacific, yes, but no Africa.
No, not to Japan, but why not go to Africa?
No, my question is what kind of advantage Japanese school education system ahead of the Westerners?
Ahead of the Westerners? No. Why do we need to think? Basically, I think there is a market for educational system. Now you can say, okay, well,
of course they have a big market in Africa. I agree with you, but my concern about African education, they are much more focused on the American university or European university rather than Japanese. I'm talking about content.
Yeah. Okay.
Japanese problem is their teaching is the content is very much specialized by professor. And America education is more flexible. Japanese is very rigid and strict and short.
Right.
Short scope by professor.
But they do actually teach you the solid skills, like literacy is 100% here. The skills in terms of mathematics and all the basic skills.
Mathematics.
They're good.
Yeah, my son studying international Canadian school. Their mathematics level is lower than Japanese school. This is true. It means middle high or high school. Maybe Japanese educational system is very advanced.
Right. So if you really want to connect to people, you need to connect to the next generation and the people who, by introducing these kinds of educational institutions, I think,
I saw the university, but it's a focus on the middle high, the high school. In this case, Japanese is very well established, and they can export to the education system to Africa. I agree with that. And they try to embed their teaching technology into computer, right? So they can study it. And recently, African students study PC using PC, like a Python, they can study IT more directly. They can get money from them.
Right.
Right. That is true. Also, fundamental education had better be implemented there, over there. Right.
Right.
I agree with that. This is most recent. Their capability is distribute cheap PC with programming skill. Education system is most effective for them. Instead of internet system is not prevailing in Africa. So just PC with coding, and they give them training, or just education system into PC,
Right.
and they can study.
It's not expensive.
No.
It's not expensive.
So this is, I think, one example. And the other one is agricultural transfer, skill transfer, and also most influential is Japanese is planning method for government. And African government, they are very poor for manage their country budget, implementing plan and execute.
Well, actually, that's what we're saying. But if you look at the depth ratio of most African countries, it's way below that of Japan.
No, but the situation different. Their
Yeah,
problem
that's
is
true.
their problem is they cannot pay back system. No industry. No.
But their debt ratio is about between 25 and 40.
Like China, they don't care about making highway rail, but African countries, they cannot pay back. No industry. How they going to pay back?
Right, the tax base is
Only the
very
way is
limited.
IMF lend money for African
Right.
countries.
So
only
that's
way.
why they engage in a lot of initiatives with the private sector, and that's why we see so many projects that are actually fail to deliver any benefit to local people, because the private sector is abusing the facilities created by for Africans. But education, I think, it's one of the biggest challenges in Africa. So if you can play a role there, you will be very welcome.
I don't know how Japanese government thinking about what kind of effort to invest money to Africa. I don't know. I agree with
Well,
you.
infrastructure development, of course, but yeah, then
No.
you have the problem of what you're saying.
Not Japanese government will do that. No, it doesn't. They do not have advantage for those areas, right?
I mean, of course they have.
Yeah, of course they have, but
the skills, but
like
it doesn't.
Takashi always saying about in Vietnam, Japanese companies like developing highway and everything else, they try to export top-end technology, but they don't want to.
Right. Simple road construction or local.
Oh, Japanese company never do that, so they don't do that.
Right. Well, I didn't see them. In Africa.
Do you want to have another video?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, that one is the next one is more connected to the video of last week when we were looking at the private-public partnerships. Now the next video is actually about trade agreements. So we're looking at African Union and trade agreements, and in order to get access to markets like the European Union, we also need to, Africans need to make concessions and say, okay, we're going to open up our markets for certain goods in order to get access. So what you see, one of the big problems is that, especially in bilateral trade agreements, it's very difficult for a poor country to make a fist against a rich country. Now, the next video is focusing on the effect of a lowering of the import duties of onions on the on the African continent. I think it is about what was it? Also rather rich West African country. Cameroon.
What do you mean onion? What?
It's about the onion market and the impact of opening up of reducing the trade barriers.
You mean trade is there? Export tax?
Import duties. So
Import duty.
reducing of the import duties.
Import duties.
Yeah.
Import onion
Yeah.
from outside?
Yeah. Dutch onions.
Oh, really? So
Right.
very high import tax.
No,
What do you mean?
not so they reduced the import tax, and now in the Netherlands we can produce onions cheaper than in Nigeria, and you see in I think Cameroon, but I'm not 100% sure. Then you see that basically that completely destroys the local industry.
Yeah, rice. Yes, rice
Yeah.
and cotton.
Right. Well, so this example is about onions. So I think this is one of the reasons why it is important that the African Union gets more teeth and gets more serious.
So what they're going to do? They try to protect their import?
No. The problem is that they could not protect their import, and now they're being flooded with Dutch onions, and it kills the local industry.
Mm.
Where's the